When can a test for a nutrient in the blood or a nutrient deficiency actually be dangerous? This test can be dangerous when in fact it shows normal levels of a nutrient, when in reality you're highly deficient or an individual is highly deficient. To quote one of the researchers in regard to the study which we're about to look into, which was actually done for something else, but yet, I should say unveiled, the fact that the conventional test for vitamin E basically is useless in their own words. To quote the researcher, this basically means that conventional vitamin E blood tests as they are now being done are useless, end quote. We're going to look at the research from a study called Millions of People with Metabolic Syndrome May Need More Vitamin E. That's the public release title. In which case, the researchers state that basically nutrition surveys have estimated that 92% of men and 96% of women in the United States fail to get an adequate daily intake of vitamin E in their diet. Yet, somehow miraculously in the blood, they're showing normal levels of vitamin E. That's a paradox, unless the test is faulty. And that's what we're going to look at in regard to this one particular study. Now, to recap what vitamin E does. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people have diseases related to these conditions, and it would be extremely disturbing if these diseases are nothing more, or being related or caused by nothing more than a nutrient deficiency in regard to a very common vitamin, in this case, vitamin E. Antioxidant, which vitamin E is important for cell protection. It also affects gene expression, immune function, aids in repair of wounds, and the damage of arteriosclerosis. Important for vision and neurologic function, as many other things. So, for example, if someone's wounds aren't healing well, it can be related to a vitamin E deficiency. But however, when they do the test for vitamin E, they're showing normal, but the test, unfortunately, is inaccurate. So, looking more on the research, this is what they discovered. And this is why this test shows a faulty reading. In reality, it's measuring it properly, but it's measuring it in the wrong part of the body. You'll understand more in a second as we go further into the research. We've discovered that vitamin E levels often look normal in the blood because this micronutrient is attracted to high cholesterol and fat, but that's not where it matters. Vitamin E can stay at higher levels in the circulatory system and give the illusion of adequate levels even as tissues are deficient. And there is the point. Vitamin E in the blood is not as important as vitamin E in the tissue. So when they do a blood test on vitamin E, yes, it shows you showing normal levels, but however though, that's not where vitamin E is needed the most. So as we go further, this basically means that conventional vitamin E blood tests as they are now being done are useless. So you really can't correct a disease that is basically caused by a nutrient deficiency unless, of course, you reintroduce that nutrient in adequate levels. See, that's the problem. A lot of diseases or ailments out there may be nothing more than a nutrient deficiency in itself. However, though, when your medical professional with good intention goes to do a proper test and says, well, I know this is looks related to vitamin E deficiency, or this disease looks like it is caused by a vitamin or nutrient deficiency, but then they do the blood test, it shows a normal level, they got to think it's something else and henceforth treat it a totally different way. But if that test is faulty, unfortunately, that's where it becomes dangerous. For the rest of a person's life, they can be treated for a disease they really don't have because it's really malnutrition. So let us begin at the research itself. Citation title of this research: the metabolic syndrome increases dietary cholesterol requirements, assessed using urinary plasma and plasma vitamin E catabolites, a double-blind crossover clinical trial. DOI is as follows. Funding, as you can see, participants were human with 4 72-hour interventions, material, and methods. This is what they did. They utilized an isotope in order to detect the vitamin E in the body. Now keep in mind that they believe, the researchers state, when vitamin E is at adequate levels where the tissues are saturated with vitamin E, then your body simply excretes the extra amount of this vitamin E. However, in this case, they kept on adding vitamin E to these individuals with metabolic syndrome, and it never excreted, meaning that they were highly deficient in vitamin E itself because the body kept on absorbing and storing the vitamin E it so desperately needed. Methods and materials: by labeling the vitamin E with iridium, a stable isotope of hydrogen, scientists were able to measure the amount of micronutrient that was eliminated by the body compared to the intake. This advanced research laboratory tests are not available to the general public. Study methods and methodology as follows. Results, just to speed things up and conclude, show that people with metabolic syndrome retain 30 to 50% more vitamin E than healthy people, showing that they needed it. When the body doesn't need vitamin E, as to recap, the excess is excreted as well as conventional vitamin tests are clearly flawed and potentially dangerous. Those results in the conclusion of the study itself. So in the meantime, conventional vitamin E tests are flawed, in the researcher's opinion, useless and potentially dangerous. So probably the safest thing to do is make sure that your vitamin E intake, is adequate. Ralph Turchiano signing off once again. I hope you find this information of use, and I look forward to seeing you all again in the next 7 days. Catch you then. Bye.